Hello again. So on the last video I talked about hoping to de-stress some of those things that we have going through our body after 2,192 miles, and we're at Baxter State Park. And what do I do now? How do I get up Katahdin and hopefully release some of that stress for y'all future through hikers. Another stressful one though is I can't get a signal anywhere in the 100-mile wilderness. How am I supposed to work out my transportation and everything else? So sometimes we have it worked out. Sometimes we don't. I had my transportation worked out. I did that in Monson as far as when my train would leave and how I would get to the train and where the train would go after the first train and second train and the bus and everything else. But I had worked out with a ranger there in the area. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that for you being there. But if he wouldn't have been able to be there that day, I wouldn't have known what I was going to do, and I would have been quite stressed. I was stressed that I wasn't going to get there and be able to summit on the day he was off of work. So that was stressing me out as well. But everything worked out good. So just so you have an idea of what's going on. So you just summited Katahdin. You're flying high. Your adrenaline is through the roof. You are a conqueror. You are a winner. You are a thru-hiker. And Katahdin is in the bag. And Maine is in the bag. And Baxter State Park is in the bag. What now? This is what. You go down. You descend. Get a bite to eat. Relax. Take it in. Take some photos. Do some video. Give everybody a hug and congratulations up top. And then go back down. A lot of thru-hikers go down what is called the 8-ball slide. I guess that's the quickest way down. Now, all the ways down will eventually lead to a road. That road is the only road in Baxter State Park. Some of those areas obviously have a little bit more road or a little more traffic than others. So it is good to have it lined up. Once you get down, there's two different hostels in Millinocket. Either one of those can have shuttles out there to pick you up. They cost a little bit more than you probably like to spend. You could also hitch. I know one gentleman that was trying to hitch and he didn't get anywhere with that, but that doesn't mean you won't. The day before, when I was going from the state park, or not the state, the ranger's office there, where I had to get my little permit, going from there to the camp that I had set up was 2 miles away on a road, and I was able to get a hitch about a mile into that walk to get that last mile on the road. So cars will stop. It's just whether they're there when you get down. But 8-ball slide seems to be where a lot of those shuttles will go. It really just depends on what you want to do. Like for instance, the saddle trail is considered one of the easier trails. Really depends what you like. It was very dry when I went to Katahdin, so about a week to 2 weeks before, there was no rain at all. Saddle trail is very rocky, and when I say rocky, you have some scrambling, but nowhere near the scrambling that you would as you came up Katahdin on the hunt trail. So the hunt trail is how you summit. 8-ball bridge is how you go down, one of the ways, or you could go down the hunt trail. You could go down the saddle trail being one of the easier ones, but remember, it is still Katahdin. It's still not easy, but it's rocky. The other thing it is limestoney and sandy, and it's almost like a desert mountain, to be honest, or a Northern California mountain, just a lot of scree, and when it's dry, it gets even worse. So there was a lot of butt sliding on that for me for, I'd say, the first quarter to a third of a mile going down that, because you couldn't really walk down it. You're just gonna trip and fall and hit your head on a rock, because it is quite rocky along with that sand. So keep that in mind. It's about a 5-mile trek down there. That takes you to the other side of a park where there's a different campground, Rolling, can't remember right off the top of my head, Rolling Brook maybe campground. I think that's what it's called. But that is also the same place that if you go down Nice Edge will come out here and hit another trail. Saddle Trail's doing this, and then it comes over to Chimney Pond. The Saddle Trail comes to Chimney Pond Trail, then it'll come out there, and they come to the same place, to the Rolling Brook, I believe it is, campground, which is another ranger office, which is where someone else can pick you up if they know ahead of time that's where you're going to be, or you can hitch a ride. Same road, just on a different side of the park. So definitely work as much of that out as you can, or plan on a hitch. A lot of the shuttles will split it between how many hikers are in there. So if you have 3 or 4, that $80 or whatever it is, that's like $20 a pop, not as bad. From there, you're going to want to get to Millinocket. You can get to Bangor. I will tell you, I had originally was going to be going to Bangor, except for the night I was going, it was $400 a night for the rooms because they had some concert there. So I ended up staying at the hostel in Millinocket. There's 2 of them there, don't forget. So look into those. All of this information, by the way, is on Far Out, as far as the name of the hostels, all the different trails coming down from Katahdin. So if you do not have the Far Out app, get it. It is a lifesaver. It will let you know water, let you know the shuttles, the information for different trail angels and everything else. All the information you can need, for the most part, you'll find there, and it's just a great tool to have on your phone. You can utilize most of that without having a signal. Calling out, emailing out, texting out, you would actually obviously have to have a signal, but not to look the information up. So Rainbow Ledges is kind of your last spot. If you have a signal, I wouldn't count on that signal because you don't really know, before Baxter State Park. And then up top, I'll tell you this, it was cloudy up there, so I don't know if this is normal, but when I was up there, it was very difficult to get a signal. I had to walk around like this, like I was in the 1990s trying to find a signal. It just was no signal to be found, and finally was able to get a little text out. But I think there's a little bit more as you walk down in a couple spots, so you should be able to check that out. But the more you have set up, the better. But the earlier you get down, the better chance you have of getting a ride. And then obviously other hikers would also probably have rides set up too. I wouldn't recommend not doing a thing and just hoping to hitch a ride with somebody else or not hitch, but get a ride with another hiker, because they might frown upon that. But those are a couple options. Here's what you do. You get to one of these hostels in Millinocket. They will shuttle you to a place called Medway. Medway is where you get on a bus that takes you to Bangor. Once you get to Bangor, you get on another bus that will either take you to Portland or Boston. From there, you could get on trains or planes or automobiles, whatever you decide to do. I know one gentleman that had rented a car in Bangor, and 2 or 3 hikers went in with it, and they were just going to go back wherever they were going from that way. A lot less than trains and planes, and they're in total control of the trip. Very smart. That wouldn't have worked for me because I was going much further away. But it's really simple. They have it down to a science. Obviously, 2,000 to 3,000, whatever it is, people summiting Katahdin needing to get home every year. They have this down to a science. Both of those places, both of those hostels will get you to Medway, which will get you to Bangor. Bangor will get you to Boston or Portland, Maine. Medway, you don't even have to have it reserved. You get the bus ticket at the little gas station they drop you off at, and all's good to go. You get into the hostel, you might need to reserve with them as far as that shuttle the next day, but easy peasy. So hopefully that takes away a little bit of the stress of what you do when you get up top of Katahdin and you've conquered and you want to go home, you don't know how to go home, or you can just turn around and start going south and turn it in to a yo-yo. You can always do that if you choose to do so. But those are the ways you get down. Several different trails that go down. It's really, I would do some research, find out what you want to do the most. And Knife's Edge is beautiful, a little trickier and more technical for some people. The Saddle Trail I did. Almost wish I didn't, but I did. It was a lot rockier than I thought it would be, but there is not much scrambling, so that's the good thing. So if you're done with scrambling after you get up and you just don't want to do it anymore, you can go down that way. You just kind of have to worry about slippery scree and so forth for about a third of a quarter mile. Anyway, I hope that helps you out. You can reserve a lot of that in Monson, and the rest of it you can kind of do on the fly. Most of the shuttle drivers out there are going to know where these hostels are. Some of them can even take you to Bangor or whatnot, but don't stress. The biggest thing is don't stress. You just walked almost 2,200 miles. You are getting ready to do what most people, a lot less than 1% of people, have done or could do. Be proud, be happy, be joyful, and don't stress. It's all going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine. Live life.